Hi, my name's Rob Hodgkins. You're here on our farm in Hertfordshire. We comprise of 2,500 New Zealand Romneys. We have a small 300 head sheep milking operation, and we also run 2,000 acres of combinable crops. Today we're on the farm and we've got our methane testing chambers come in. These have arrived from New Zealand about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and currently we are testing 120 different animals from across the farm for methane emissions. I'm a bit of a shameless capitalist, so I can foresee a time coming up in the future where Tesco, Sainsbury's, the supermarkets in general, the great British public, whatever you want to claim them as, will be requiring lower methane meat. We've got several different targets coming through. The UK target-wise, 2050, CO2 emissions. Our dear union has committed us to be carbon neutral as an industry by 2040. I know Tesco themselves have got a 2030 target to make all their stores and supply chains carbon neutral. So like it or not, this is coming. We can either bury our head in the sand and just ignore it, or we can accept it and try and make the best of it.
This is actually just arrived in the UK at the beginning of March, so this is our very first trip away with it. The chamber's basically just a metal box which is sealed, so it's got fresh air in there to start with. And so we basically are looking at how much carbon dioxide, oxygen and methane there is in that atmosphere. We start with the base level, and then at 25 minutes we'll take a measurement, and again at 50 minutes. There's been a lot of work done in Australia, New Zealand and Ireland over the last 10 to 12 years maybe, looking at the optimum time when you get the correct measurement of methane for these animals, and 50 minutes seems to be the optimum, so you get the best measurement of methane without putting too much stress on the animals themselves. So we've got a gas monitor called an Eagle 2, which we use, and we put it through a little valve in the top of each of the chambers, and it's set up to measure the percentage of carbon dioxide and oxygen and the parts per million of methane in the atmosphere that the sheep are in at that particular time. So we have them allocated to their groups of 12 to cover a variety of the sires that we use to produce them, so you don't have all one sire in one batch, so then it's confounding the information. We have a mixture of sires in one batch, and that way you do get variation because obviously they're different genetically. We've had some interest from some of the sheep breed societies and some other breeders, so we're hoping in the future it'll be something that we can offer to pedigree or commercial breeders.
Methane inheritability amongst for offspring is relatively good. It's something that we can breed for, we can look for and go for. It just takes a very long time. With sheep, we have 1.6 on average on this farm lambs per year. Half of them will be females, half of them will be boys. Probably takes 2 years. We can do a quick snatch of them and get a lamb out of them for ewe lambs. But really, you're talking 2 years before we hit full productivity, and we can really start seeing the results of our genetic changes. So 10 years is not very long to make a change at all for sheep. And so really the setup is me just trying to predict what my market's going to be in 10 years and taking steps now to try and make sure I can capitalise on it. One of the advantages we have in terms of our New Zealand sheep is we also have references back to their CPT flocks, which is their original research flocks. So as well as these methane measurements, we are taking DNA measurements. Because we have cousins in their research flocks, we are then able to look at particular gene sets, so we can do a broad DNA sweep of these animals, work out what gene sets are switched on compared to their methane emissions, and from that we can sort of start profiling our flock in general without necessarily having to test each individual animal. We can look largely at the gene sets that they're carrying and make an educated guess as to whether or not they're going to be high, medium, low emitters, if you will. It's really important to try and balance the emitting work, because obviously, whilst we're hoping in time it will pay, currently it doesn't. So we have to balance constantly, as any breeder does when you're breeding for anything from methane to growth rates to blue eyes. You have to make sure you don't screw everything else up while you're trying to do it. Let's get cracking.